for the biggest sports stories.
It's Neymar trying to feed it through. It's a stretch and it's in. And I can't remember the last time I saw something like this. Extraordinary scenes.
The biggest interviews.
It's more difficult. Obviously, it's more difficult.
And all the analysis right here.
If they play poorly, they'd come back, they've got all the excuses. You can't have it both ways.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Yes, indeedy, the biggest sports show on the biggest station, giving you the biggest stories in the world of sport. But this isn't the big show. That comes on at 12 p.m. every single weekday. This is ZiFM Sport. We come on every single weekday at 6 p.m. through to 7, and the team is here to deliver all the big stories coming out of the world of sport, and not least of all, the biggest show on earth, and that is the World Cup FIFA 2018. It's in Russia, and today we'll have our update in the second half of the show. Don't miss that. It's gonna be a banger. The team is Mike Madora, Mark Pozzo, Alice Bunjira, and our producer Sean, and me, Barry Menandi.
On the home front tonight, Churchill High School loose forward Matthew Aruru will captain the Old Mutual Zimbabwe under-18 team at this year's Coca-Cola Academy Week to be held in Paarl, Western Cape, South Africa next month. The inaugural Zimbabwe Invitational Camp and Reggatta involving 5 African countries kicked off with a pre-race training camp that commenced at Mazoe Dam yesterday, and controversial striker Roderick Mutuma has found a new home at Castle Lager Premier Soccer League debutants Nichrut.
In our international sports news roundup, basketball news is that Houston Rockets star James Harden, the Beard, was last night named the NBA's most valuable player for the 2017-2018 season. During Monday's NBA awards show, Harden beat out fellow finalists Anthony Davis and LeBron James. In cricket news, the Pakistan Cricket Board, the PCB, is to seek an explanation from wicketkeeper Umar Akmal after he said in a television interview that he had been approached to fix matches. And our Formula One report, which is a staple of our Tuesday show, Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton has defended title rival Sebastian Vettel against charges of being prone to costly mistakes.
Second half of the show will see us, of course, diving deep into the Russia 2018 World Cup report, where Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal and 2010 winners Spain progressed to the World Cup knockout rounds on a night of high drama dominated by VAR decisions. We discuss Morocco, who were seconds away from handing Spain their first defeat in 2 years, but their failure to grasp their chance at glory in Kaliningrad was just one in a series of missed opportunities that characterized their World Cup. We'll also hear from their coach, Hervé Renard. And tonight's action is out of Group D. Argentina's do-or-die clash against Nigeria has got fans buzzing, and Albi Celeste coach Jorge Sampaoli has insisted it can be a launchpad for the team in Russia following a woeful start to the World Cup. Don't miss out on the Zofi Bronix Play of the Day, which comes halfway. But before that, we have the Black Bull Brandy Power Play. Today is Top Hit Tuesday.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Homefront. Local sports news and analysis.
Let's get the show on the road. Schools rugby leading the line, where Churchill High School loose forward Matthew Owuru will captain the Old Mutual Zimbabwe under-18 team at this year's Coca-Cola Academy Week to be held in Paarl, Western Cape, South Africa next month. Owuru, a member of the junior Sable side to the same competition last year, was named captain when the final squad was announced on Sunday following the conclusion of a camp at St. John's College in Harare. The Bulldogs' flank is deputized by scrum halves Joshua Allardyce and Michael Mute. This year's Academy Week runs at the same time with the Craven Week and takes place at Paarl Boys High School from July 8th through to the 14th as part of the Western Cape School's 150th anniversary. And of course, just taking a look at that Zimbabwe under-18 squad for the Academy Week: Brendan Sibanda, Patrick Makanza, Adrian Zivanai, Clyde Muzengeza, Ryan Dawson, Matthew Ouruhu, skipper the side, David Bore, Makanaka Ishetimba, Joshua Allardyce is one of 2 vice captains, Tinashe Hombiro, Mufaro Chareka, Ryan Mutandwa, Jeffrey Antonio Samuel, Pride Gadzikwa, Brendan Muchopa, Victor Matarise, Ralph Dakelin, Dylan Utete, Anthony Mundangen Fufu, Als Mello, Michael Mute, the other vice-captain, and Kudakwashe Mashonga, as well as Nigel Tinarwa. The coach is Scott Gray, assisted by Basil Tingiswayo. The manager is Simbarashe Danga. Mark, you've got to say that it's a disappointment that Zimbabwe has been knocked down from, of course, the Craven Week as we know it, into this, which is almost a development side competition.
Yeah, very sad. I mean, after all these years we've been playing in Craven Week, and we now get pushed down to this competition. You could call it this competition because really it's, for us, I think it's very sad for rugby in this country. Exceptionally sad that we are not competing in Craven Week. But at the same time, you've got to look at Craven Week, and they're looking at it and saying, you know what, we're coming there and we're just the whipping boys.
Yeah, we're the whipping boys, Barry, and this represents a step backwards, isn't it? And it's an indictment on rugby in Zimbabwe. And this is even more worrying if you consider that the step is being made backwards at grassroots level.
At grassroots level, and that is the key component, because at grassroots level we should be moving forward. We should be seeing our age group teams in all sports moving forward, and us wondering why we're not making the step up at elite level. But even at grassroots level, if we're getting kicked down, that's a real problem for us, and we should have seen it coming. But we just hoped and hoped and hoped, and then ultimately we got kicked out.
Are you concerned that, you'd usually have these offshoots, as it were, green shoots in the Zimbabwe under-18 side, where certain players will be plucked up and they'll be able to, of course, represent some of the South African universities, some of the South African provincial sides. Yeah. Now you've got to think that the scouts will be over at the Craven Week, and very few of them, to be honest, will be attending to the action that's going to be out at par.
100%. I mean, in times gone past, you'd see a Chivanga feature, you'd see a Beast come through, you'd see
Gordon Pangetti as well,
Pangetti feature, you could see a Pete Bernardi come through and be picked up by one of the provincial sides. This crop, and in truth, at Academy Week, the best they can hope for is to be picked by one of the academies and then hopefully make the step up. So you've now got two steps that you need to go to before you're playing provincial rugby in South Africa, and in truth, it's a huge step backwards.
And of course, some of those players, Barry has mentioned, you throw in names like David Chisho as well, former Jameson High School, who was picked up by the University of Natal back then, now the University of KwaZulu-Natal.
Yeah.
Colin Stradham as well, who was out at Lomagundi. Those are all guys that benefited from the fact that they were playing out at Craven Week. Now, just moving down the junior age groups, Craig Schneider of Falcon College will captain the Old Mutual Zimbabwe under-16 team at the Grant Como Week to be held in Kimberley, Northern Cape from July 2 to 6. And then another second rower, Sasha Kadira of St. George's College, will captain, of course, the under-13 team for the Craven Week, which will also take place in Kimberley Week, in Kimberley over the same dates. Now, earlier, we caught up with ZiFM Sport, a rugby pundit, as well as Zimbabwe under-13 coach Gordon Pangetti, and we had a chat to him about the expectations he has for his team.
Every year our objectives are to try and win each game. Each game is a final for us, and most importantly, every year we've had to play Namibia, and for the past 4 years we've lost it at the end, and it's always been by not more than 5 points. Either we've drawn, or we've made an error in the last minute of play. So we've been pushing on that and trying to get really technical, talking to the captains on the decision making. And you might think that at this level it's a bit too much, but they're going to play a test match. It is an actual official test match against Namibia. So, the intensity of the game will be high, the skill level will be high, and they look forward to it. There's no greater feeling than singing the national anthem and seeing the boys, just fired up and ready to represent their country.
Gordon Pangetti there, the coach of the Zimbabwe under-13 side. Now, pause, if there is to be any light whatsoever at the end of the tunnel, we must be looking at this under-13 side and saying, listen, what can we do to help? What can we do to develop these guys to make sure that they remain as competitive as they are at that age group? Because it looks like as they grow older, as they graduate into the under-16s, graduate to the under-18s and then under-21s, it looks like the gap between us and Namibia, us and South Africa, gets wider and wider as the boys grow older and older.
Yeah, this is the most important age group. We were just talking off air now. This is the most important age group. This is the age group that needs to be nurtured. This is the age group that for me, needs all the concentration it can have. And all the best coaches, I believe, should be working with this under-13 side, because this is the future of us eventually, hopefully, getting back into Craven Week and playing that competitive rugby that we are used to, because it can be done. But this under-13 side is the side that needs to be basically wrapped in cotton wool and looked after and
kept together. Pause.
Exactly.
I really
the word kept
that.
together is very important.
And the thing is that we're letting them go. They go to their high schools and then they break up, and we don't find the same squad again. They need to be kept together. Track these boys, make sure that they stay together, and this side graduates together.
0731 168 045. Rugby fans, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you, the listeners, as well. We're sure you certainly have an opinion on the goings on with Zimbabwe rugby, especially at grassroots level. That number again, 0731 168 045. Twitter and Facebook at ZiFM Sport. This is the show that allows you to have your say, your way. Coming up next, we got the local Sports News Roundup with Pause.
Hi, I'm Peter de Villiers, the national coach for Zimbabwe Rugby, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
We continue with the rest of our local sports news roundup. The Sports and Recreation Commission, the SRC, has expressed satisfaction with the increase in National Sports Associations, NSAs, that are now compliant with the SRC's Act following a meeting with NSA leaders at the weekend. A total of 33 NSA leaders attended the meeting, where they were informed that 28 NSAs were fully compliant and 20 partially compliant, while 11 remained totally non-compliant. The SRC says it will name the non-compliant NSAs after consultation with them. The weekend endeavour was mainly over the registration and compliance status of NSA's sport and recreation colours, control policy, and the role of corporate governance in sport organisations. The inaugural Zimbabwe Invitational Camp and Reggatta involving 5 African countries kicked off with a pre-race training camp that commenced at Mazoe Dam yesterday. South Africa, Malawi, Uganda and Lesotho joined the host in an event organised by the Rowing Association of Zimbabwe, RAS, in a way of strengthening teams ahead of the Africa Youth Games to be held in Algeria next month. RAS is expecting a total of 45 athletes housed at Mazoe Hotel to take part in an event that will culminate in a competitive regatta on Saturday the 30th of June. Finally, controversial striker Roderick Mutuma has found a new home at Castle Lager Premier Soccer League debutants Nichrut. The nomadic 30-year-old striker joined the Shirugwi-based outfit last week alongside former Dynamo's defender Temba Ndlovu. Mutuma joins Nichrut from the Northern Region Division 1 side Chigutu Pirates, while Ndlovu was on the books of Matari City Rovers, another side that is fighting for survival. Nichrut is hard-pressed to climb out of the relegation zone, and coach John Nikadzanu hopes the arrival will bring a positive influence to his side, which is languishing at third from bottom of the league table with 13 points from 17 games.
International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play. From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil, get up to speed on the Formula One report.
This is it. Formula One champion Lewis Hamilton has defended title rival Sebastian Vettel against charges of being prone to costly mistakes. The Ferrari driver collided with the Britain's Mercedes teammate Valtteri Bottas at the start of Saturday's French Grand Prix on error that handed the championship lead to eventual race winner Hamilton. Vettel's 2017 title bid collapsed due to mistakes and misfortune, and Hamilton was asked whether he was surprised his fellow 4-time world champion was still making them to at such a level. I'm not really going to get into that, said the Briton, now 14 points clear at the top with races coming in quick succession. I know what you're saying, but it is really a racing incident in turn 1, and those things can happen. We're all going into that first corner at great speeds. The Briton has now gone a record 33 successive races in the points. Let's hear from Lewis Hamilton, who spoke about his race win and Sebastian Vettel's collision with Mercedes teammate Valtteri Bottas.
Incredible teamwork this weekend, and really unfortunate for Valtteri. I feel sorry for him because, should have been a 1-2 today. When you get taken out, you do your whole weekend prepping, and then you get taken out the first corner, and then that guy gets the
see him finish ahead of you.
Yeah,
he's taking you out.
It's like when you're speeding on the road and and the guy pulls you over. You broke the law, but he lets you go. It's the same freaking thing.
Z.
Bit of sting in the tail there, what Hamilton was saying. But he started out correctly in that, listen, he's going in at high speed. I don't think there was any intentionality about it. It's a genuine mistake.
Yeah, genuine mistake. And what I like is the relationship between the two drivers, the two rivals. They've actually improved in the way that they relate to each other. And it looks like this year there's a lot of mutual respect. Hamilton on the cusp of overtaking Vettel so far as the World Championships that they've won, because they're on 4 apiece now. Exactly. And Hamilton, if he wins the championship this year, he goes one better than Vettel, and then he's only 2 behind the legendary Michael Schumacher. So there's a lot of respect, and I think Hamilton also realizes how great a driver Sebastian Vettel is. If Sebastian Vettel had a decent car in the last 5 or 6 seasons, that 4 could easily be 6 or even 7. So there's a lot of mutual respect, and I like the fact that they're sticking up for each other, and makes out for great competition going forward.
Yeah, Mike's saying something very pertinent there, because we go back to Bahrain last April, and Sebastian Vettel was actually defending Hamilton. So yeah, there's a lot of mutual respect, but I think more so this season, especially given that Vettel is in a better car. Hamilton knows that there's a good chance that Vettel could actually win this championship. It's wide open. So yeah, the respect is due and given.
Yeah, I think it just makes it all better, doesn't it, for the rest of the year, and you just don't want them at each other all the time, week after week, because it gets monotonous, it gets boring. You know what? Your competitors, just get on with it.
100%.
Right, let's look at the latest drivers' standings. Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes leads on 145 points. Sebastian Vettel now in second on 131. Danny Ricciardo 96 points in third. Valtteri Bottas 92, and Kimi Raikkonen in a Ferrari on 83. The constructors' title, Mercedes out in front, but by just a few points, 237 against Ferrari's 214. Red Bull are third on 164, Renault on 62, and McLaren in fifth on 40. The next race is the Austrian Grand Prix in Spielberg on Sunday, the 1st of July.
From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We start in America, where Houston Rockets star James Harden was last night named the NBA's most valuable player for the 2017-18 season. During Monday's NBA Awards show, Harden beat out fellow finalists Anthony Davis and LeBron James, LBJ. He's the third Rockets player to win MVP, joining Moses Malone and Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem, the Dream Olajuwon. The honor will feel extra sweet for Harden after he was the MVP runner-up in season 2014-15 and 2016-17. Harden led the league in scoring 30.4 points per game and also averaged 5.4 rebounds, 8.8 assists and 1.8 steals. He helped Houston post the best record of the season, 65 wins and 17 defeats. Over to England, Andy Murray has claimed his first win since returning from a hip injury after he trounced fellow 3-time Grand Slam champion Stanislas Wawrinka 6-1, 6-3 in the first round of the Eastbourne Championships yesterday. An unlikely clash on the sun-baked South Coast between two wildcards ranked 156 and 225 respectively was not much of a contest, but was hugely significant for Murray as he tested his fitness for next week's Wimbledon, having lost to Australian Nichrut in the first round of last week's Queen's Club tournament. His first match for almost a year, Murray took a late entry into Eastbourne to put his hip through another examination. And we end in Pakistan, where the Pakistan Cricket Board is to seek an explanation from wicketkeeper Umar Akmal after he said in a television interview that he had been approached to fix matches. The PCB's anti-corruption unit has scheduled a hearing for tomorrow after Akmal, who has made 116 ODI appearances, told a local channel that he had been offered $200,000 to leave 2 balls alone in a World Cup match against India in 2015. The 28-year-old also said he regularly received offers to fix matches against India and that he has always rejected them.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. Jogo Bonito, Tiki Taka, Catenaccio, Total Football. It's a football celebration where only the best are invited. Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, Salah, Mane. The stars come out to play on your Russia 2018 World Cup update. on ZiFM Sport.
The action continues in Russia. It's the biggest show on earth, the World Cup Russia 2018. We've already seen Group C action earlier today, and we'll be giving you an update on the two matches that were played that decided who finished first and who finished second, and of course who will be lying in wait for the likes of Iceland, Croatia, Argentina, as well as Nigeria. With that group, of course, only Croatia having guaranteed their place and the other three fighting for the one remaining place. But we start with action from last night, where Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal and 2010 winners Spain progressed to the World Cup knockout rounds on a night of high drama dominated by VAR decisions after host nation Russia and Uruguay also qualified earlier yesterday. Spain ended up topping Group B by virtue of goals scored after an injury time strike by Iago Aspas, confirmed by the video assistant referee, rescued a 2-2 draw against Morocco in Kaliningrad and will take on the host nation in Moscow on Sunday. Portugal, who finished level with Spain on 5 points, conceded a late penalty as Iran drew level at 1-1 and faced a heart-stopping moment at the Mehdi Taremi put a shot inches wide, a goal that would have sent the European champions crashing out. In Saransk, Ronaldo was at the heart of a series of VAR incidents. First, he had a penalty saved by Ali Benevand and was later saved by a review as Iran's players called for him to be sent off following an incident with Moteza Puluganji. Portugal will face Uruguay in the last 16 in Sochi on Saturday. A night certainly of high drama last night. I mean, both matches, there were matches that kept on giving until the very last, and they all ended in draws. 2-2 for Spain, 1-0 for Portugal, and you've got to say hail to Prophet Manandi.
You can enroll in our church. We are opening our first sanctuary on Sunday.
Come with a love offering.
Come with a love offering. We'll be dedicating our temple on Sunday.
Oh my goodness. What action. But guys, you know, it's easy for us to talk about Spain, easy for us to talk about Portugal, but let's talk about Morocco, because you have to take a look at Morocco's games in this group, and you've got to say that in many respects, I mean, these guys totally unlucky, Alois. I mean, they played well in all three matches, and if you take a look at last night's action, they were just seconds away from handing Spain their first defeat in 2 years. But again, of course, their failure to manage critical phases at this tournament means that they are going home early in a tournament where they could have actually have been one of the surprise packages.
Yeah, I think it is so much to do with experience. I think probably their coaching department, the technical department didn't really come well prepared for a big tournament like the World Cup. They just came in and said, we've got a good team, let's just go and play. And the good team they have, you know, they played so well. On another day, in another different tournament, they could be progressing. But unfortunately, it wasn't so. Probably they didn't have that match winner as well, who could actually turn the match into their favor at an instant. They played as a team, but they didn't have, we've always talked about it, they didn't have that star man, you know, who could just, maybe if they had Salah, for example, in their team, he could have just turned some of the matches in their favor. They didn't have that, but a good team they have. I think they've done well for themselves. They can just go home with their heads held up high that they participated well in the tournament. They did well.
Barry, they were at the finals for the first time in 20 years, Morocco, and again, you know, like most of the African performances, whether it's themselves as Morocco, Egypt, Tunisia, Senegal, and even Nigeria, we have seen the African teams fail to manage the critical phases. Yeah. And that's why Morocco has conceded. If you take a look at their game, for example, okay, first game versus Iran, a game that they dominated.
Yes.
They lose because they score an own goal in the 5th minute of stoppage time, no less.
Exactly, yeah.
Where, to be honest, the worst result for them could have been a point. The second game, okay, against Portugal. Yes, look, they conceded in the 4th minute. Again, critical phase at the very start of the game. You know, where you should be just keeping things tight and making sure you get off to a fly. They dominated the match, but were unable to get over the line against Portugal. Spain, this game against Spain, a game where they led twice and led late. They should have been able to seize out to victory. They concede late again.
Which is where I would agree with Bunja's assertion that perhaps it was immaturity. I wouldn't say the technical department so much as the players on the field. I think they lack the experience to know that sides like Portugal, sides like Spain, have got the experience, have got the quality to hurt you. So you can't defend as deep as your 6-yard, let alone your 18-yard area. And they kept getting sucked in deeper and deeper and deeper, needing to defend deeper, and it was always going to come. They would make the mistake, and they did in those critical phases.
And of course, the man who took Morocco to the World Cup for the first time in 20 years is Frenchman Hervé Renard. And we hear his thoughts, and of course, he raised some very interesting concerns over the match officiating.
Les cartons jaunes, je pense que
regarding the various yellow cards, I think that a number of fouls were committed that did reserve a number of yellow cards. Maybe not all of them.
Piqué n'a pas eu
we were a bit upset when Piqué was not booked,
mais bon,
whereas he used both feet.
La seule question
maybe this is not the most important aspect.
Coupe du Monde en mémoire.
We'll keep this World Cup in our minds. It was a magical moment, and good luck to those who go into the round of 16.
Bonne chance aux deux équipes africaines qui restent encore en course pour la qualification, le Sénégal et le Nigeria.
Still
on est de tout cœur avec eux et
and should hopefully get into the round of 16. We are behind them.
That, of course, the coach of Morocco, who sadly have to pack their bags and head home after a disappointing tournament, if you look at it statistically, because they end the tournament with just the solitary point. But their performances have deserved more. They have been game in all their matches. And, of course, their coach there, Mark, brings up some very interesting observations over the referee, and we want to tie this up as well with VAR and ask the question, first of all, is that are the referees, to be honest, favoring the bigger nations? And two, is VAR favoring the bigger nations? And I want to give some examples here. You take a look, Mark, at that Gerard Piqué challenge. Two-footed lunge. Studs, both feet off the deck. That type of challenge, to be honest.
Even in England, that's a red card.
Even in England, that's a red card.
That's a jail sentence.
It's not even given a yellow card. It's not even referred. So between the ref and VAR, how did they miss it?
Yeah. I don't know how to answer that one, because, yes, I believe they're missing a lot of things. And I'm going to take you back a step. Let's just go back, regardless of England thumping Panama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, Panama must be the most ill-disciplined team I've ever seen play in a World Cup.
Sure.
And they still 11 players stayed on the field. I mean, there was some real deliberate issues where, for me, I would have actually issued a couple of red cards in that game.
Yeah, for me as well, if I look
it's inconsistency.
I'm confused now. I don't know. I thought I knew how it works, but I'm confused at the moment. How does it really work? Who consults who? Who says let's review this? Now I've been left confused.
Paz brought up Panama. Panama, though, I'll say this for them, that they were not nasty. They committed a lot of fouls, and a lot of them had to do with grappling inside the box.
Yes.
They were not horrendous tackles.
No, but Mike,
I know the rules.
Those are all penalties.
But we have seen, though, consistently over the course of this World Cup, that they're not giving all the grappling ones.
No, they're not. They're not.
Because
in fact, if it's marginal, forget it.
Yeah, if it's marginal, and if you just put your hands,
blatant ones there.
There were some blatant ones. But again, you take a look at POS, the standard of refereeing. Iran yesterday versus Portugal, 3 penalty shouts.
Yeah.
Of which, to be honest, they got one. The other one looked stone-all. That Cavallo challenge in the first half looked stone-all penalty.
Piggyback riding the guy.
Ronaldo as well. That yellow card. Guys, you asked the question. If that's an Iran player,
could have been a different color.
That's a red card.
Yeah, it's a different color.
The ref in the Portuguese game yesterday, I thought he was poor.
Yeah.
And there was also a game that I saw a player.
He just couldn't hold it together.
A penalty, clear penalty. The referee will have to play on, and he didn't even bother to check the VAR. Now I was thinking, who consults who? The VAR guys,
a good question.
On slow motion, they repeated the instance. Slow motion, it showed that the guy had been hacked down.
As far as I understand, VAR checks incidences like that, and then they tell the referee, and you can even tell when the referee is being told something.
But there should be a signal. But there should be a signal.
No, but the referee can overrule VAR and be sure of his decision, just like he does with his assistants. When his assistants flag, and then the assistant says, I think that was a penalty, the referee can say, no, that's fine.
That's a good point that Barry brings up, is that the referee remains ultimately the guy in charge.
The still makes the authority over the game.
That one who was called back after about 2 minutes, after the game has already gone for about
again, it's his discretion. It's
his discretion. The referee is the one who decides.
He decides.
But maybe they kept
saying that, you know what, they kept on saying, listen, this one is, you need to have a look at this one.
But just going back to Alois's question, how do you know when he's asking for VAR?
He doesn't ask for it. VAR checks every incident. They check all the parameters that they've spoken about.
Yeah.
I think it's red card incidences, penalties, goal scoring issues, like offsides and that sort of thing. They check everything. Then they advise the referee. They tell him and say, listen, on that goal-mouth melee, there was a bit of grappling and holding. Perhaps you want to have a look at it. Referee can say, I saw it. I don't think it was necessary for us to review. Let's carry on. Done.
I think that's what he meant.
Also, but there are incidents now when they keep on poking.
But he still retains the right. He still retains the right to say, because I think that's what happened with the PK incident.
Yes.
Where the ref was told about the PK incident, but I think he said, I saw it, and
it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay, yeah. And that's why also you find that the referee, because the VAR was in control and command, VAR would just tell him, no, you got that decision wrong. You need to give a penalty. He wouldn't have to go and look. But the referee always has to go and have a look
make the final
decision and say, right, I've seen it.
He actually talks on that mouthpiece.
Yes, on the mouthpiece, exactly, yeah.
So we can't have a situation whereby we need to have the referee's voice heard on the...
That's what we talked about. Remember, 6 months ago,
we spoke about it.
We said that
we want to hear the response.
They should do more, especially for the paying fan inside the stadium, because we at home sometimes might actually have an idea what's going on. But I feel sorry for the guys who have paid top dollar to go out to Russia and have no idea what's happening, what's being looked at, etc. Because they're not playing any of the...
Apparently they're not playing on the screen, but what they are doing is that when there's a review, and it's now an official review, they're posting a little, that little slug we get at the bottom of the screen in the stadium. They actually are.
But they're not showing the incident, so the fans are none the wiser. They don't understand what's going on.
Well, we would want to know who said no. If the referee said I don't want to review, we want to hear him say it's okay.
But okay, of course, we all, of course, have an opinion in here. Let's hear the one from Alan Shearer, of course, a legendary England striker, and he's not pleased at all with VAR at the World Cup.
I thought one of the positives that VAR would bring to the game would actually cut out play acting from players. If anything, I think in this tournament, it's actually increased it, and it's pretty embarrassing. We saw Pepe in the game before, we saw Quaresma tonight, which we'll have a look at. Some of the behaviour from the players is embarrassing. It's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. Look, he's looking at it there. Straight, clear view. What is he, 12 yards away, something like that? He doesn't think it's a penalty then. And for him to go and have a look at the screen and overturn that, and he thinks that it's deliberate handball, then I'm trying to keep calm without swearing and getting angry here, because, I mean, that is just a ludicrous decision.
I loved Alan Shearer as a footballer, and I love him even more as a pundit.
No, he's good.
But I think he got the final part wrong, though.
Which part?
The part about the handball.
Okay,
because the one
in the box.
Yes, we talk about the penalty at two levels when it's given in the box. One, okay, is it deliberate?
Yes.
I don't think it was deliberate.
No.
Was his arm in a natural position?
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
It was in a natural position.
No, it was unnatural.
I thought it was.
No. The guy who for the Portugal thing. I'm talking about the Portugal penalty.
Sorry,
because that's what he's talking about.
The PK,
he's talking about the Portugal penalty.
Okay.
The guy jumps and his hands are there. Now, if it's an attacking play and that Iran player is nodding the ball back across, it hits your hand in a natural position. It doesn't matter whether it's intentional or not. I think you've got to give it. You've got to give it.
And that one, the ball hits the arm and actually diverts away. It changes direction to where it was being headed. So he actually got an advantage as a result of it hitting his arm. So for me, Shearer asked a good question, Boz, that how come the ref didn't see it? Because you were standing right in front of the incident.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean,
he saw it. He ignored.
He ignored it,
yeah.
What do you mean he ignored it,
No,
Alex?
yeah, he ignored. He
Why?
saw it.
What is your theory
Because
behind that?
When a referee is inside the field, watching over the proceedings of the match, and you don't see that,
Say it, Alois.
you follow the ball.
Say
You're watching, you follow the ball at all times, and now come. No, he saw it.
Can I be Alois's interpreter?
Yes.
Okay. What Alois is trying to say and doesn't want to say is that Portugal and Spain were meant to go through, and refereeing was complicit in making sure these teams.
Listen, I like Spain yesterday.
I really want to.
But I thought yesterday the refereeing blatantly favored them because every infringement by Morocco was punished with a yellow card to a point where the captain actually got worked up and went to complain and ended up being given a yellow card. Because why? He was complaining. I think another player as well started complaining as well, and they were given yellow cards because you were seeing Spain get away with a lot of infringements which were not punished, and then similar tackles they were having yellow cards brandished to them. So, sometimes the conspiracy theories will tell you that, sometimes FIFA has an eye on the commercial side of the tournament, and the tournament just looks a lot better.
Like this evening?
With Portugal and Spain.
And watch this evening too?
It could be a lot better with Argentina and Lionel Messi. Talking about that game, we'll be building up, of course, to tonight's action and giving you the results of the matches that were played earlier this afternoon. This is ZiFM Sport, Russia 2018 World Cup update.
To all you Twitter heads, connect with ZiFM Stereo on twitter.com/ZiFM Stereo. /ZiFM Stereo.
Will the Pharaohs rule in Russia? Will the Carthage Eagles swoop to victory? Will the Lions of Teranga roar? Will the Super Eagles soar? Or will the Atlas Lions snap their way to victory? Africa, do you believe?
All right, like Mike said, there is action in the other groups, and today there was already action in Group C where France and Denmark played out the first goalless draw of the World Cup. Yeah, they get that. They get that honor. It ended 0-0, but Australia and Peru stayed true to form of this World Cup goals, and Peru getting 2 of them, 2-0 to Peru, meaning that out of this group, it's France and Denmark that progress to the group round of 16. There's Group D encounters at 8 p.m. tonight. It's Argentina taking on Nigeria, and Croatia will take on Iceland. Group D, certainly the group of death. Now, Argentina's do-or-die clash against Nigeria can be a launchpad for the team in Russia following a woeful start to the World Cup. Defiant coach Jorge Sampaoli has insisted failure to beat the Africans will prolong Lionel Messi's wait to win an international trophy, with the added humiliation of bowing out to the group stages without even winning a game. A 3-0 thrashing by Croatia after Argentina opened with a 1-1 draw against Iceland saw cause for Sampaoli to be sacked amid reports of player unrest and at his tactics and team selection. But after a tumultuous week, including meetings between the squad coach and Argentine FA in the recent days, Sampaoli tried to put a positive spin on the team's fate. We have to make our goal 5 games to reach the final. Nigeria will be the first final, Sampaoli told reporters in St. Petersburg. No matter who plays tomorrow, we will have to have the obligation to give until the last bead of sweat so that Argentina will go through. Sampaoli says his team have to leave it all on the field tonight.
No, bueno, para mañana nosotros es un partido trascendente porque abre las posibilidades de ambas selecciones para pasar a la segunda ronda. Creo que las dos naciones van a intentar hacer todo lo posible para poder clasificar, tanto Nigeria como Argentina, así que me parece que eso le genera que el duelo sea muy atractivo.
So the Nigeria-Argentina game is bound to be an explosive one, as the result is key for both teams if they are to progress in Russia. Beating Iceland 2-0 on Friday breathed the life into Nigeria's World Cup campaign, but failure to the right thing and get the best result against Argentina may fast evaporate all the good feelings brought by Ahmed Musa's pair of goals. Nigeria now has her destiny in her hands, with a win ensuring that the 3-time African champions progress whatever happens in the other group game between Croatia and Iceland. Indeed, Group D is still delicately poised, and the second ticket of whom will join Croatia in the round of 16 is still up for grabs for either Nigeria, Iceland, and even Argentina. So after 2 games, Croatia have 6 points, Nigeria on 3, Iceland and Argentina have a solitary point each, and this is basically how it can all play out tonight. If Nigeria beat Argentina, Argentina is out. Nigeria go through. If Argentina beat Nigeria, Nigeria is out. Argentina is in. If Croatia beats Iceland or Iceland beats Croatia with a smaller margin than Argentina's win, if Iceland lose to Croatia, Iceland is out. If Iceland win, they go through. If the victory margin is at least equal to Argentina's margin over Nigeria. Guys, it is agonizingly close, this group.
Yeah, not really close. You know, I see the
it's not really close.
No, not really close. The one match on the other side, I see Croatia just beating Iceland. It's on this game. Nigeria versus it's a win or lose for both teams. Whoever wins this match, for me, is going through. I don't think the result of the other match is going to be effective here, and it's going to be. I'm telling
you. Surely
you,
Nigeria will be smelling blood. Alois.
Yeah,
blood in the water.
They wounded
Argentina.
Wounded buffaloes.
But I see a marauding Argentina today. You know, I see a marauding Argentina today, and I see Lionel Messi probably at his best today, and I think there's gonna be plenty goals in this match. Like I was jokingly saying that I probably, you know what the Argentina coach should have just said is bring Messi and say, Messi, who do you want to play with in this game?
Nice. And get the job done.
Yeah, and get the job done. I'm telling you.
But Barry, if you take a look at Nigeria, they can't afford, just to add on to what Alois is saying, they can't afford to come out of the block slowly in the manner they did against Iceland, because in the first half, to be honest, they didn't play well.
No, they didn't.
If they don't play well in the first half versus Argentina, they could be on the receiving end, because Argentina, to be honest, this last chance saloon for them. Yeah. They know that they have to do the business, otherwise they're flying back to Buenos Aires.
Yeah, and that's a simple mathematics for Argentina. For Nigeria, this is the biggest 90 minutes of their careers, many of these players. Yeah. They've got to perform tonight, and as you're 100% correct, it's 90 minutes, not 45. So let's go to predictions. Yesterday, I was spot on, so I'll go last.
Okay. I am going with 3-0 Argentina.
You're going 3-0 Argentina, yeah.
4-1 Argentina.
4-1 Argentina. Gosh, I am going Argentina 1, Nigeria 1.
Barry?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Tonight, it's going to be Argentina 4, Nigeria 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
So it's sealed. You can take that to your betting shops. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.
Be sure to catch ZiFM Sport every weekday on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.